The Volkswagen Tiguan has a turbocharged engine and standard 4-motion all-wheel drive, so you can find somewhere to relax in a hurry. Finance the Tiguan from just 0.99% for 60 months during the Volks Summer event. Visit your VW dealer before July 31st.
Volkswagen.
This Week in Gaming.
Hey there, I'm Naomi Kyle, and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week, we're catching up on the latest in video game TV shows and movies. The developer of God of War teases a brand new game. Xbox shares their plans for Gamescom, more layoffs, and a video game legend shuts its doors after 33 years. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's get started. I saw the Mortal Kombat movie way back in the 90s, even though it was a little campy. It will forever hold a place near and dear to me as one of the OG video game movies. Then, just 25 years later, in 2021, Hollywood revisited the world of Mortal Kombat, inviting a modern take on the beloved video game franchise. Now, in 2024, we are little more than a year away from a sequel to 2021's Mortal Kombat 2. And thanks to none other than Ed Boon, one of Mortal Kombat's original creators, we've been treated to our first look at Mortal Kombat 2. Via a post on Twitter, Ed Boon leaked an image of the latest character to make their debut on the big screen, Kitana. That's right, the image doesn't reveal her face and is just a close-up of one of her iconic steel hand fans. Actor Adeline Rudolph will be portraying the role of Kitana in Mortal Kombat 2. Adeline is no stranger to translating video game characters into live action, as she has also played Billy Wesker in the Resident Evil TV series from 2022. Mortal Kombat 2 is set to make its theatrical debut when it releases on October 24th, 2025. The longest-running video game magazine in the world, Game Informer, is shutting down after 33 years. GameStop, who bought Game Informer back in the year 2000, closed the publication after a meeting on August 2nd, where they told staff the Game Informer would be closing immediately. Shortly after the meeting with staff, GameStop took to social media to share the news, saying, "After 33 years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. While our presses may stop, the passion we have for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being a part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end." I've always had a soft spot for magazines and printed media since the days of Nintendo Power. If you're like me and you'd like to get your hands on a copy of Game Informer's very last issue, check your local GameStop for issue number 367, where you'll find Dragon Age of the Veilguard featured as the cover story. Thank you to all of the writers and staff at Game Informer for your years of dedication. We wish you a smooth transition into the next chapter of your career. Be well and play well. Xbox has announced via Twitter that Avowed, the upcoming action role-playing game from Obsidian Entertainment, has a new release date, February 18th, 2025. Before this post, Avowed did not have an official release date, but it was thought that we would be receiving this game sometime in fall of this year. It was rumored that Avowed was scheduled to release in November after developer Obsidian accidentally posted in a blog that Avowed would be making its debut on November 12th, 2024, before it was swiftly pulled down. Xbox says that the reason for the delay is to give players' backlogs some breathing room. Sure, Avowed might need more time in development, and that is okay too. But truth be told, I think the reason for the delay is that the month of November is stacked. Mario and Luigi Brothership, Stalker 2, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Dragon Quest HD Remake, and Assassin's Creed Shadows will all be jockeying for a place under the Christmas tree this holiday season. So, given that, we understand. Valorant has been locked on PC for 4 years. That is until the beginning of this month, when Valorant's developer Riot Games officially launched Valorant for console. Cross-progression is supported across all platforms, but the cross-play feature is limited to play between Xbox and PlayStation consoles only. This measure has been taken by Riot Games to maintain Valorant's standard for competitive integrity. PS5 and Xbox Series X and S gamers can experience Valorant for free right now. A teaser for Season 2 of The Last of Us is making waves across the internet. In the 24-second teaser, fans witnessed Ellie's new look, Caitlin Dever's Abby, Catherine O'Hara as an unknown character, and, spoiler warning, Joel grappling with his decision to save Ellie at the end of Season 1. The release date for The Last of Us Season 2 is still unknown, but we can expect it to release sometime in 2025. Gamescom, the world's largest gaming event, is in just a couple of weeks, and Microsoft has announced that they will be there. This makes Microsoft the only one of the big three video game publishers in attendance at this year's Gamescom. Xbox has taken this as an opportunity to have center stage all to themselves. During Gamescom, Xbox will be live broadcasting games like Star Wars Outlaws, Avowed, Atomfall, and others over the course of 3 days. Blizzard and Bethesda will also be there. Blizzard will be live streaming expansions for World of Warcraft and Diablo 4, and Bethesda will be showcasing their expansions for Elder Scrolls Online and Starfield. Gamescom officially kicks off on August 21st. Earlier this week, a Destiny developer, Bungie, laid off a total of 220 people, effectively eliminating nearly 1/5 of their workforce. Unfortunately, many of these employees found out that they were laid off via a post on Twitter from Bungie's account. The post contained a link to a blog post by Bungie CEO Pete Parsons, who said the reason for the layoffs were due to studio support structures scaled to a larger level than we could realistically support given our two primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in the games industry. We were overly ambitious, our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running in the red. In short, Parsons and other executives at Bungie made a bad call, and now over 200 people are out of a job. And this isn't the first round of layoffs from Bungie either. Less than a year ago, in October 2023, 100 employees were let go at Bungie for largely the same reason, citing shortcomings regarding Bungie's projected revenue. If you can recall, back in 2013, the Wii U was a commercial flop for Nintendo, so to avoid layoffs, former Nintendo CEO, the late Satoru Iwata, took a pay cut of 50% to help pay for employee salaries. To that effect, Iwata had this to say: "If we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease. I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world. In the future, I'd like to see more CEOs honor Iwata-san's point of view and treat their employees as indispensable assets and not numbers on a spreadsheet. But that's just me." The developer responsible for creating the award-winning series God of War is working on a brand new IP. For 20 years, Santa Monica Studios has only cranked out games for the God of War series. The God of War series has some of the best modern games to offer, but at some point, all stories must come to an end. And I think that is what has happened here. A member of the gaming forum Reset Era broke the news when they noticed a developer at Santa Monica Studios mentioned on their LinkedIn profile that they've been looking after the entire character development pipeline on their new IP. The developer, of course, did not give away anything in regards to who the characters are or what kind of game they are making, but we're excited for new stuff from Santa Monica nonetheless. Now let's go over the video games releasing this week.
Games out this week.
On August 7th, Creatures of Ava releases on PC, Xbox Series X and S, and gets a day one release on Game Pass. On August 8th, Cat Quest 3, Pirates of the Caribbean, and SteamWorld Heist 2 release on all platforms. The game Preserve releases in early access exclusively on PC. Then on August 9th, we get The Crush House, which releases exclusively on PC. Amazon Prime subscribers can download Gravity Circuit, Kraken Academy, South of the Circle, Loop Hero, and Trek of Yomi for free on August 8th. Users of the Epic Games Store launcher can download DNF Duel, Signy, All Guns Blazing, and the Apex Legends Conduit Bundle for free starting August 8th through the 15th. PS Plus subscribers can download Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga for free from August 6th until September 2nd.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest, Kahlief Adams, who joins us to discuss the Bungie layoffs, share our hopes for Gamescom this year, and officially bid farewell to Game Informer.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Hey, Kahlief. Welcome back to the show. So good to have you again.
Thank you so much for having me. Always great to be with you.
Yeah, I'm stoked to just have you back on the show, but unfortunately, I have some news that is not so great and a little sad. But Game Informer is closing its doors after 33 years. You know, for people listening and for our audience, I want to go into why this is so significant and such a sad moment for the games industry.
Ooh, I mean, this is one of those moments where you really have to kind of take a big look in the mirror and say what's happening to traditional media in the video game space. Game Informer was, I still consider, the last bastion of kind of like real big, games media, especially print media. Putting out a magazine every month, that is something that doesn't happen anymore since we've all moved to digital spaces. And a loss like this of so much talent and so many folks who are, who have cut their teeth, and the lineage of people who have come through Game Informer is huge. Like, most of the games you see now, or big outlets, or even smaller ones now, have had some person, or some entity, or some big name kind of come through that space. It is a really hard thing to see, and it's really scary for folks who are doing work like ours, where that hope was usually to kind of get to a space like that. And now that those spaces aren't there anymore, what does that mean for games journalism and media in that way?
That's right. Yeah, we're seeing such a changeover with games media, and it seems like, the dawn of social media, the dawn of the internet has changed everything, especially for print. What do you think Game Informer could have done, perhaps, to try to stay in the loop, stay part of the industry?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I mean, the hard part is, we all put our crystal balls together and try to figure out, like, what does it look like in a world where, corporations don't run media in that way. And to be fair, I don't really know another outcome for outlet like Game Informer. The subscription model has always been kind of trepidatious. It's always been hard to kind of monetize what we do here in this space without running super clickbaity articles, which is a thing that Game Informer didn't do. They weren't heavily kind of leaning into the need for SEO in those ways, while also doing some of the best video work, and video content in the space. But I don't see another avenue for where they could have gone outside of crowdfunding, which would have been cool. Mm-hmm. But that's also just hard, Yeah. Crowdfunding doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a rough space for them.
Yeah, me too. I was trying to be like, just think back and like, what could they have done? Could they have pivoted? Could they have changed model, or gone full on, like the IGNs or the GameSpots of the world, Mm-hmm. But I think what we can take away from this is, they left behind a huge legacy. The gamers are mourning. Yep. Game Informer is no more. But do you have any favorite Game Informer memories, or things that you just have fond memories of, perhaps, picking up the first magazine or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me was always getting that big cover story, right? Like, the work that it takes to put in the time and effort to get those stories initially is super hard and difficult to do. And they would crush it every time that they would get, those big stories. And it was really great because you got a really nice insider look into what that game was trying to pull into the gaming industry and into the gaming community. And those stories are now just going to be gone. Like, Who else is going to do that now? Who else has the resources to do that? Who also have that knowledge and that industry understanding of how to kind of tell those stories. So that's the biggest thing, is they did really great work on the art and always brought together, really great stories for the community.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. Always loved their stories. I loved everything they did and what they brought to the industry. So we bid fondly adieu to Game Informer. Moving on to some other news. Hopefully we don't linger too long on this one, but Bungie had some layoffs this week. Any quick thoughts on that? What was your initial reaction?
It just feels like another conversation around mismanagement, right?
Yeah.
It feels like something there that we don't know what the inner workings are for some of those things, but what we always kind of see is the Venn diagram in the middle is always mismanagement. And we will find out more once the dust clears on that story. Do
you think, what is their next move after this? What's their big focus now that this has happened, but also, when it comes to the dev side?
I mean, they have to have Marathon be a banger at this point. Like, Marathon has to be great. Because not only is their name sullied in that way, but also, or sullied, I should say, but also, what does that mean for the rest of the teams that they're trying to bring in for what those projects are going to be? Destiny 2 is still kind of rolling strong. Destiny 3 was supposed to be a thing, and now we don't know what that's going to be. And Marathon is still kind of up in the air, which is supposed to be the thing that drives them into the future. So we'll see if Marathon gets more push, and if that does, then what does that mean?
Of what you've seen so far or heard about Marathon, what are your expectations? Can you describe a bit about what you're hoping to see?
Ooh, Lord, that's the real answer.
For folks who don't know, yeah, I know it's a tough one.
It's an extraction shooter, from what I've heard. Folks who I've spoken to who have gotten some hands on with it said it's still pretty early on and still trying to figure out what it's trying to do in a space where extraction shooters are not necessarily looked upon in great favor. So we're trying to see, what does this mean for that space? What does this mean for another live service game, which has also become a dirty term? And what does this mean for Bungie moving forward? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we will see. At Gamescom, moving on now to hopefully some more upbeat news. Gamescom has announced Xbox is going to be one of the big three at the show, the only big three. So Xbox, we've got other devs, Bethesda and Blizzard in attendance. What do you expect to see? Any big surprises? Anything from them that you're hoping to see? Do you think we'll have any big reveals there? Because, without E3, now Gamescom's kind of the next thing, right? Yeah, for sure. I think Indiana Jones will get some love. I think we'll probably see some stuff on that end. Starfield has their expansion, Shattered Space, which I know people are really excited for in that space. I'm actually really hyped for the new Diablo content that's coming out, because they had a really great dev stream, and I thought that nailed whatever this new character is supposed to be, this new class is supposed to be. And I think we'll get a lot of indies in there too. With Avowed getting delayed, that would have had a spot probably during the show, and I think that probably gets pushed back a little bit. But I think the indies will shine a ton, and we'll probably get the kind of usual Forza stuff and some flight simulator stuff in there too. So I think that's probably where they'll drop it. And nothing else surprises that you're thinking might happen, basically. I mean, they always kind of have a one more thing. Of course. And I think you have to do that to kind of make sure that you're giving all the folks in Germany something to really be excited about. This is the first time I don't have an inkling on what it might be, though. Okay. You usually hear some smatterings of like, oh, well, it might be this, it might be that. And this is the first time I haven't heard anything that has either been so exciting that has piqued my interest or is something that feels like it's out of left field. So I'm excited. I'll be tuned in. I'll be tuning in as well. Have you ever attended Gamescom? No, I'm so sad. I've never been. I want to go. I've been dying to get an invite. Hey, somebody out there, invite me to Gamescom. I want to go. But I see every time that it's a blast and a lot of folks have fun. And a big show. So many people. My goodness. Like every hundreds year. Of thousands of folks, packed. It was wild. That place, so. Yeah, I went 2018, I think, for BlizzCon, or like their Blizzard showcase, and hosted that. But it was wild to see how many people were there. I was blown away. Elbow to elbow. Yep. Yeah, totally. So what are you playing these days? Anything that you're looking forward to that's coming out soon? What's your biggest, I just can't wait to get my hands on that? Ooh, I mean, the new Diablo content is definitely in there. Okay. I started playing a game called Nobody Wants to Die, which feels like a mashup of BioShock and a kind of noir thriller, which is pretty fun. And then also a ton of football. Football season is about to come around the corner. Playing a lot of college football, and Madden just got some new conversations around what they're bringing to the game this year. So sports season is in big effect. I'm ready for all the big sports games for sure. Amazing. Well, Kahlief, always such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us, for all your awesome insight. Where can people tune into your stuff? What's your next thing that you're working on? Ooh, I was lucky. I just came off of San Diego Comic-Con and moderated the Mortal Kombat 1 panel, which was great. I'm looking to do more of that, so I would love to do more of those. But Spawn Me is dropping, more episodes. We had a couple of great interviews with the Star Wars Outlaws cast and creative director as well. So those are on the feed. You can check that on all podcast platforms and YouTube as well. Amazing. Well, everyone tune in to Kahlief Adams content everywhere you can find it. Spawn on Me podcast on the interwebs. Thank you, Kahlief. I hope you'll rejoin us at some point in the future. You're my co-host at this point. Anytime. I'm here for you. I got you. Awesome. Later. Bye.
Kahlief Adams is the host and founder of the Spawn on Me podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Kahlief Adams.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I always have such a great time bringing you all the latest in games. Thank you so much for listening. Shout out to my co-writer, Josh Seaman, for helping put the show together every week. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, have a gaming-filled week, and we'll see you again same time. Talk to you later.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.